Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and I thought I would share all of my finishes, all of my big finishes that I've had over the years. I thought that could be fun to do at the beginning of my floss tube life as kind of an introduction into my stitching and what has appealed to me in the past and kind of my history as I've grown in stitching and the different types of things that have appealed to me over the years, and just to kind of let you see what I've done. I know there's a lot of people in real life who they find out how many current projects I have started. They see me start new projects all the time and get I don't know the word, but really, do you ever finish anything, because of the way I currently start? And actually I haven't finished that much recently, but historically I have finished quite a few things. So I thought it would be fun to share what those are. And I have several finishes that I don't currently have with me at home. They've been gifts in other people's homes. So for those, I will do some audio commentary and just show pictures. And for the ones I have here at home, I'll show you what they look like in real life right now. So the older whips are not necessarily, my dates are not necessarily super accurate, but I'll put those, what I have, estimated. I'll put down the dates of when I finished all of these. And some of them I have sold on Etsy. That's kind of how I started my Etsy shop, was selling some of my old whips that I didn't necessarily want to keep, but I enjoyed stitching. So some of them are like that. Some of them are gifts, and some of them are here at home. So you'll see all of that, and where is appropriate, I'll share fabrics and the way I stitched it. I kind of forget to do that sometimes, but a lot of things are on Ada because they're from a kit. A lot of things, nothing hand-dyed. I don't think I've ever used hand-dyed fabric. So that's on my bucket list. Sometime to do. So here we go. Let's share the things that I finished. This is kind of my cross-stitch portfolio, as you will. This first whip is called Life's a Beach, and it's the first one that I can remember finishing. That's a good sized one. I'm guessing it was finished around 1995, back when I was in high school, maybe late junior high. Cute little bears, and I have basically just cross stitching and back stitching. I had it up on my wall in high school and college, just unframed, posted with thumbtacks. And when I got married and started my Etsy shop, I decided to sell it because it didn't necessarily have a good home in my house now. So I decided to FFO it into a tote bag. So that's what I did. I put a little floral border directly around the stitching and then sewed a tote bag with just muslin, I think, around the rest of it. So that's how that one is finished. And it sold on my Etsy shop, no longer available. My next one is Footprints in the Sand, which is another one I did early. This one might be around 1997 in high school, and I, again, had this one folded on the sides, if you can see that, thumbtacked to my wall in high school and college. And again decided to sell it, and it was my first Etsy sale. It sold within 24 hours of opening my shop in 2008. Later I made a second one, and that one sold quickly also. So I've sold two of those on my Etsy shop. They work up really quick. They're super cute, and it's so fun to think about the words as you're stitching. This was done on 14 count Ada, I believe, and so was Life's a Beach. The next one is a lighthouse picture I made for my mom. This one was I forgot to say, Life's a Beach came out of a magazine, and I don't think I still have that magazine. I don't know. I can't find it anyways. It was a magazine, an old magazine. I think it was on the cover. So I don't know exactly where that one came from. But the Footprints in the Sand is a leisure arts leaflet. So it's just like a single pattern in a leaflet. This lighthouse was a Dimensions chart and charms pattern. So it came with just the chart and all these cute little charms that you see around the edges, and the little steering ship's wheel on the compass. All of those little charms came with the chart. And then I provided the fabric and floss. And I believe this is done on 14 count also. That's typically what I would work on at the beginning of counted cross stitch days. I love the netting in this one that goes around the edges. It's all straight stitched. Super fun. This one was a really fun stitch. My mom still has this up on her wall. The oldest one I have here at home is Portrait of a Lady, which was a gold collection petites. It came with all the flosses and beads that you needed to do. And this is her. She's framed in, I got this frame at Walmart, I think, but it was super pretty, very scrolly and floral and elegant, and I thought it fit her really well. She sits on my mantle along with other family pictures. She is, I think this is a 5x7, so it's a nice small size. This is 18 count Ada. There's some French knots in her hat, and there's beads all along her back, and there's couching on the lace of her dress. So that was fun. And this is actually a stitched white border. The background of the fabric is actually that tan color. So that was kind of an interesting thing too. And that's my oldest finish I have currently at home. The other one I have here at home is this one. My sister got this kit for me. I think it came with a mat. It came with printed fabric. She bought me the kit for Christmas. She was probably in elementary school and knew I liked kitties, and she wanted me to stitch the kitty. And then she realized later, maybe when she was wrapping it, that the kitty was printed on the fabric and I wouldn't actually get to stitch the kitty. It would just stitching the floral border. But I still appreciate the thought behind it and the sentiment, and the kitty is really cute. The flowers were not actually charted. It was more like stamped cross stitch, where it was printed on the fabric and you filled it in and stitched until you covered up the printing. So that was kind of an interesting out of the box type stitching, which is unusual for me. I usually like to just tell me exactly how many X's are in this section and I'm happy. So that was an interesting one. This one I made for my sister. I think she still has this up as well. This was a kit. Let's see. It was called Happy Things. It's the brand, I think. 14 count Ada. Came with the floss, so I just used what was in the kit. I'm not sure where I found this. I still have the leftover kit. I don't know where I found it. That was cute. I liked that one. Very colorful and happy. This one I made for some friends. They liked birds, so I went and found a quick stitch for their wedding. They were actually, my friend's sister was getting married and in college, and we were all gonna make a road trip to go to her wedding. So I thought it'd be fun to make her something. So this was a pretty quick stitch, and I knew they liked birds, so I thought that was perfect for them, and they like it. So that was really fun to do. Okay, my first Mirabilia. I have all of my Mirabilias here at home. They're for me. Was Midsummer Night's Fairy. And I'll put the date on the screen. I don't remember. I did this one in high school or college. I don't remember exactly. But I still have this one, and it's super pretty. This one is in my room. She's nice and big. All of them are. But I don't have her framed under glass. I just have her framed out so I can see all her pretty beads and all of her sparkle. She is stitched on 32 count linen with all the required threads, all the required beads. I don't generally stray from the pattern. unless it's something major. I love this part with the blending filament and her hair and back that you can see through her wing to make it look transparent. And right here you can see the back, like this wing kind of overlaps right there. I thought that was kind of fun, the look that they gave for that. Simple frame that I got at Michael's, probably where you buy a set of this size bars and a set of this size bars and then attach them together, because it was an odd shape and I'm a cheapskate, so I don't generally do fancy frames. But she's so pretty. I like her. Let's see, she's probably done on recommended color too. This says Stony Point Linen by Witchell, which I don't think is what it is actually. So it's just some kind of dark gray linen. I don't know the color. It was too long ago before I kept track. She's my oldest and first Mirabilia. This is a Paula Vaughn one that I made for my other sister. I have two sisters. This one I made for my other sister, and it is called Lamp Unto My Feet, I think. Let me see. It's called Thy Word, and it is in the Best of Paula Vaughn Book 2, which is a leisure arts book. And I made this for my younger sister. It's got cross stitch and half stitch and back stitch and a little bit of gold, I think, in the teapots and lamp, and then some lazy daisies even on the flowers of her embroidery hoop. Oh, and it looks like there's some metallic in the scissors as well. So that one was kind of a fun one. That one looks like it's on even weave. So I'd started to get used to that by then. Another one that I worked on was our wedding sampler. This was a kit by Dimensions that I picked up probably on our first anniversary or something, and then worked. It's called Floral Trellis Wedding Record, and I've covered up our vitals. But this is my wedding sampler, and I love the specialty stitches that are included. Along the side here is this like fun trellis thing that's behind it. There's gold cording that has been couched on here. This is couching in the middle here. It's got flowers. My wedding colors are blue and pink, so this fit the colors pretty well. Super fun. This is another frame we got that was, you buy this length frames and this length frames, and then we painted it white because we couldn't find any white ones, and I thought white would go the best with this. Super pretty. I'm really happy with that one. Another wedding sampler that I made and still have is this one, and it was a really fun stitch. Lots of pretty colors. I actually have this one for sale still on my Etsy shop, and I can personalize that for whoever wants it and add in their name and date. And I can even, I have a frame for it too. This is another one that I made for my husband. This was from a kit, Gold Collection Petite, and it came with, I guess it didn't have any it doesn't have any charms. It just came with the kit with the floss and everything. This background is mostly just fabric, only there's a little bit of half stitching and back stitching to make it look like a map, an old globe. And then there's cording. There's like a knot right there and a big fun knot here, a little knot here. That was fun to do, to put that cording on the edges. And he loves, my husband loves old sailing ships like that, so when we were early married I made that for him. And this is again like a 5x7 size that we put on hang on the wall in our room. This one is called Tuscan View, and I made this for a friend of mine who I was in college with. She was in my major, and we worked together after college for a couple years, and then she was going to move back across the country back to where she grew up with her family, and I was going to miss her. She was really interested in all the cross-stitching that I was doing, and her past history of what cross-stitch was always the old-fashioned alphabet samplers and things like that. So she was always really curious and interested in what I was stitching because it looked different than what she was used to seeing. So I picked out this kit. It's a dimensions kit called Tuscan View, and it has half stitches and full crosses and back stitches and just fun and colorful, and I gave that to her before she left, and she really likes it. Has it hanging in her house now. I made this. It's for my mother-in-law, and she has it in her craft room. This is from a Bucilla kit by Donna Dewberry. It's called Grapevine Wreath with Floral, and it was on 14 count fiddler's cloth, it looks like, and came with all the flosses, and she loves pansies, so I thought that would be a fun one to do for her. This is a dimensions kit also called Flowers and Lace, and I made this for my best friend who loves white lacy stuff, and so I thought this would be perfect for her, and it has pretty flowers as well as the white specialty stitches around the edges. That was a super fun stitch, and so I made this into a pillow for her so she could have it on her bed or, you know, wherever she wanted to put it in her home or in her room. So I made that for her. Next I have a string of Mirabilias that were all back to back, and these I still have. Here is my second Mirabilia, which was Autumn Queen. She's nice and big. This is a store-bought frame. Came in this size. It was just perfect. Let me see if we can get some details. I love, 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 love her. I think I got Winter Queen pattern first. See those pretty little beads on her shawl there? And the same, some beads are on her. Big beads there. It's hard to get it all in here. She's got a big headdress. She was, I think my first queen that I bought the pattern of was Winter, and I loved the pattern. But then I don't know how it all went down. I got this pattern and decided I liked it better, and I started it, and it's currently my favorite of all four queens. I have plans to do all four queens plus the winter Christmas queen, Royal Holiday. Royal Holiday is half finished, and I have not started summer and winter. But here's Autumn Queen. These are chains of beads down here that have been tacked down, so that's kind of fun. She is on the wall above my desk in our study. My next Mirabilia is Mother's Bliss, and I stitched this as anticipation of having children. Didn't yet know if we would, but I made this. And when I got it out, I realized her apron is just fabric. It's not stitched. So that went a lot quicker than I originally thought it was going to, and definitely a lot simpler stitch than the other Mirabilias. There's no beads at all. Super precious. That's actually, it's been in my nursery all the time, and now my daughter's room, which used to be the nursery, is just her room. No more babies, but it's still in her room. And then my fourth Mirabilia is Spring Queen. And this is the reason I wanted to do this video now in March, because it's time for her to come out. I have a spot above my desk, and Autumn Queen is on the wall there for winter, autumn and winter, fall and winter. And then she comes out for spring and summer. So I switched them out on the walls. They have the same spot on the wall and they just take turns. So while I had them both out for the transition, I thought it would be a good time to do my finish video. So many little beads and things I didn't really expect in this one until I got it done. There's these little beads along her hem. And then even in her dress, there's a little bead on the bottom of a lot of those little leaves. There's beads in her like sash there. And where it's in the shadows, it's metallic. It's metallic here and beads here. Beads, this is beads. What I thought was interesting is her flowers have no beads. I think there's some beads out here, but not in the actual bouquet, which I thought was kind of interesting. And here she is. I'll tip this up for her again too. Pretty, pretty. Her colors are very springy, very fun. So she's gonna go up on my wall now, and she'll stay there until September, I think, when the start of fall. This is a stamped cross stitch kit that I made for my parents. They like music, and they specifically like stringed instruments. My dad plays the viola, my mom plays the cello, and my mom plays a little bit of piano. So this was, but in general, they just like music. So I thought this was fun to do for them. It was interesting. I don't usually do stamped projects. The very first stitching project I did was stamped when I was in 2nd grade, but generally most of what I do is counted cross stitch. So, but I saw this and I think it was on clearance or something. I just had to do it. So that I made for my parents. My 5th Mirabilia is retired. This is Seaside Kingdom. And I found out this chart was retiring and snatched it up because before it was stopped being printed anymore. Because I thought it was super cute, would go really good, you know, in a kid's room or something. Had no kids yet. But as soon as I found out I was pregnant with my first child, I started it. I was like, oh yay, now I have an excuse to stitch this. Super fun stitch. There's lots of treasures and beads. He's got some treasures. She has a treasure. There's these big beads right here. There's another one up here. They put ribbon on here that it's tacked down like that, like it's blowing in the wind. I thought what was interesting about this one is it's a lot of white space. So it actually went really fast. The kids are the most stitching there is. On the castle is just shadows of sand, and the rest of it is beads to make it look like sand. Like in this path, there's only a few cross stitches along this side, and everything else is just beads. There's a few beads decorating the girl. No beads in him, really. But yeah, super cute. It's hanging in the hallway near my kids' bedrooms, and I like to see it every day. It's just really pretty. Really happy with that one. These are a bunch of baby samplers that I made for my friend, my best friend, the same one I made all the lacy flowers and lace pillows. This is a small dimensions kit called God's Baby's Birth Record, and I made this for her 4 different times because she had 4 children. This first one I made with the colors in the fabric from the kit, using the blue thread for the little boy colors because her first baby was a boy. The second one I did for her was the same. I converted it to DMC as best as I could, just eyeballing the colors, and used my own fabric, and then went with the pink lettering because her second baby was a girl. Then her husband wanted them to look different for each kid, so her third child was born in December, so we made that one have a little bit more of a Christmas feel. Chose some reds and golds and things to make it look more Christmassy because she was born in December. And then the fourth one was a little boy, and he was born in the summer, so I went ahead and altered that one just a little bit from the original to make it more summery, and changed the coloring of the animals to kind of just do something different, so it looked a little bit different. So I've done that one 4 times. A cute little stitch. If you follow me on Instagram this past summer, that's when I finished the last one. So you probably saw that one in progress. So here's my first birth sampler that I made for my own children. It's a full coverage design, clearly a first child birth sampler when I could stitch on it when I still yet didn't have any kids underfoot. It is Snoopy. I found this online. Cross Stitch Heirlooms is the company. I think it probably was on eBay. But it was a full coverage one. The first full coverage I ever finished. And really cute. We had a Snoopy theme in the boys' room. And so that turned out really cute. With Snoopy and Woodstock. This is a hem cross stitch I made for my dad. As you can see, it's a little tight in the frame there. The frame was a little bit small for it, but I went with it anyways. This I found in a leisure arts book called America's Best Love Hymns in Cross Stitch. And I actually have 3 of these. There's book 2 and book 3. This is in the original book 1. It just doesn't say book 1, but it's the first one they did. America's Best Love Hymns in Cross Stitch, and it's a thick leaflet. It's not really a book, but it's a thick leaflet, and it has 11 or 12 different ones. This one's Rock of Ages, obviously, and it has, he likes old hymns. He likes I don't know, it just looked manly, with the forest and waterfall and everything. So I made that for him. He likes that. This is a cute little rooster that I made for my sister-in-law. Her kitchen had a theme of roosters. She currently has when they moved, she doesn't have roosters in her kitchen anymore, but she still has this hanging in her hallway. It's a cute little kit. It was a Dimensions kit called Gold Nuggets. And the title of this one is Rooster on Toile. She also likes toile fabric, and so it seemed perfect for her. The kit came with the fabric that's behind it, that white and black fabric. It came with that. It came with the cording to put around the outside. And it came with the black Ada. I stitched the cute little rooster, and I stitched the gold metallic border around the rooster. And then found this frame, and I think it turned out really cute. This is one I had partially finished, and when I started my Etsy shop, I decided to finish some of the whips I had that were partly completed. They wouldn't take that long to finish. I think some of my whips that I had started were, I liked them, but I didn't necessarily have a plan for them, a place for them to go. This was one of them. I really liked it, but I didn't necessarily know what I would do with it when I finished it. So a lot of those, I ended up picking back up, finishing them, and listed them in my Etsy shop at the beginning of my Etsy career in 2008, and this is one of the first ones I did that with, and it's in a little leaflet by the Cricket Collection, number 29, and Needle Art Silhouette is the title of that specific one. There's a couple different patterns in this leaflet. The leaflet's called Shadows, and then that one is called Needle Art Silhouette by the Cricket Collection. So I finished that one, super cute, sold it on Etsy. This is another one I finished and sold on Etsy. I actually sold this to a friend of mine. When it sold, I went to see who sold it, and I recognized the name. I was like, hey, I know her. She was actually the sister who was my friend when we went to the wedding in college. She was my actual friend bought this one. So now her and her sister have one of my stitching, but she bought it from me, and I, mailed it to her. She didn't live nearby anymore. So that one is a fun Lord is My Shepherd. It's from a Leisure Arts leaflet all by itself. It took a little while because of the full coverage picture on the bottom, but not that long. The border is also full coverage, so it's kind of a, even though the text goes pretty quickly, the outside took a little bit longer. This is another one I made. Loved working on it. It's called Gloria by the Silver Lining, and I found this pattern in the LNS near where I grew up. And again, I liked working on this. Didn't necessarily see a place for it in my home, so I put it up on Etsy and sold it. Super fun, bright colors in the rose petals, pretty colors in the leaves. I liked that the thorns were actually different colors too, because that's what rose thorns really look like. So it's very realistic. I like that. This is a Lord's Prayer. It's another Leisure Arts leaflet, all by itself. I made this a couple different times, and this was one originally I finished it for Etsy, and then I decided to make it again to sell on Etsy, and I sold both of them. Super fun, super cute. I love the little bees. My best friend that I made the pillow for and all the baby samplers, she is working on this. I think she found a kit version of this in the store when we were in college, and I was teaching her how to cross stitch using this pattern. She's still working on it. Every time we get together, she'll work on it a little bit more. Hers is on Aida, but I did both of mine on linen. I believe probably 32 count linen. This is a cute little stitch I finished and framed for my mom. She likes to spin and knit, so this was perfect for her. I got these little guys out of a leaflet called Same Day Cross Stitch Projects by the American School of Needlework, and they were a couple that were shown on the back cover. Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. And with a little spinning wheel and a sheep. So, and the sheep, if you can see, is completely done in French knots. So all of the wool is done in French knots, and the little flowers are done in French knots. So that's kind of fun, a fun effect for that one. This is a wedding sampler I made for my sister, and I thought the original, this is a Jan Lynn kit called To Love and Cherish, and you could either stitch a couple in the center or put a picture in the center. And the couple in the center is pretty, but it's kind of old-fashioned and didn't really fit my sister, but the rose outside really fit her. So I decided she went with pink and green for her wedding colors too, so it really fit her. So then I went ahead and used the picture, which I've blurred out for you here, but their wedding picture is in the middle, and super fun, pretty. A lot of the edging around the flowers is half stitch, so you can see like a shadow. Really fun to stitch. This is The Bride by Lavender and Lace, and this is another one that I started and didn't necessarily see myself putting on the wall. So I finished it and offered it on Etsy, and it sold. It is done on 18 count Aida, and I think the only change I made was that I used petite beads because regular size seed beads would not have fit on the 18 count Aida. So that's the only change I made. Everything else is as charted. Really pretty. Liked working on that. Turned out really cute. So here I have a string of more pieces that I finished or made just for Etsy, because I wanted to do them and they were pretty, but I figured I would just sell them on Etsy, and they have not sold yet, so I will put links to them in my shop. But here is the first one. It's actually bead point. It's not cross stitch. It's called Garden Serenade, and it has the picture printed on the fabric, and you add beads to make it pretty. So there's all the different beads attached to the flowers and the arbor and the trees. That was super fun. Very fun to work on. And that's in my Etsy shop. I also have this is not from Etsy. This is my personal one, but I'm doing them chronologically. This is my advent calendar that if you follow me on Instagram at Christmas time, you would have seen this. I have a dowel at the top with ribbon, and the pattern, the kit actually comes with felt to back it, so it keeps everything neat and tidy. Here's the bead point kit. It came in a kit called Simply Beads. My mom found that for me somewhere. And this is the advent calendar kit. It's a dimensions kit called Oh Holy Night Advent Calendar. So I finished that. Super cute. I love bringing this out every year. There's some couching on the stars to define them. There's just very simple. A 14 count Ada. Very sweet. There's little beads. This is how the kit asked you to do it. Little beads here in order to hang the ornaments. They are very small. The ornaments don't stay on very well if you just hang them there. So what I do is I hang them and then give them a full twist, so they're kind of twisted onto the bead, and that works. But it's harder to have the kids help with that because it's tricky. So if I were to, if someone else is doing this, I might suggest like a little tiny white hook, like a hook and eye that you can find in the sewing section. Maybe doing that. That might work a little bit better. But here's some of the little ornaments. These are done on perforated paper, 14 count also. Super cute. The one problem that I have with this kit, which is not a problem for me, but a lot of the colors are pastels, and there's a lot of pink and purple, even on the boy characters. So when I have my kids pick which character we do each day, the boys, you know, this is Joseph. Why is Joseph in pink? You know, so they have trouble with that. But there are lots of cute animals, lots of cute everything. Super, super cute. Super cute. I wasn't necessarily planning on showing you all of these, but why not? They're cute. I enjoy getting them out every year. I've had this up for lots of years now. So fun. Every year. I get more of a kick out of it than they do, I'm sure, but I love having it up. These are stitched on perforated paper, and then once you've stitched them, you cut them out along the edge. So these are nice and stiff. And I'll show you, there's like a little string that I've hot glued on the back. And you can see it's twisting now after several years, where I put it on the bead. Maybe I'll show you with the last one how I do it. There's one. And here's a little guy. So let's do it maybe with this one. So I have it here. I put it on the bead. And it's hard to do with one hand, but I hold the bead. Ah! I don't think I can do it. I hold the bead with one hand, and then I twist it all the way around so it's laying flat, and it's not going to fall off. And make sure it's straight, you know. So that's how I've been doing it, to be able to use the beads that came with the kit. So love that. Next I have, what was next in order? This is another one I made for Etsy. It came with this pretty mat with songs, and I stitched the inside. It's called Springtime Nest. It was a kit from Matted Accents. Yeah, super fun, springy kit in the frame. This is also available on Etsy. for whoever might want it. Another one I did that I started for me, but then didn't know where I would put it. So this is also available on Etsy. It's not framed yet, but it would be shipped in a tube to be save on shipping. This is a Virtuous Woman. Lots of colors on this one. I love the colors. It is kind of a country style, but it has lots of the phrases from Proverbs 31. And very cute. So this is available in my Etsy shop as well. And then also the next thing I did was my second birth sampler for son number 2. And since we still had a Snoopy theme in our nursery, since he was another boy, I wanted to find another Snoopy birth sampler, but I did not want to redo the other one. That was way too complicated and time consuming for kid number 2 when you have a preschool toddler, you know, underfoot. So this one is one I found online. I don't know where. This is what it looked like. Doesn't have a name, a company name anywhere, but I found it probably on eBay or something. And it's just stitched on some natural looking linen. And it's Snoopy and Woodstock in a little car, and that was a lot more suitable for the time that I had going into baby number 2. So that's a cute one. This is a Babies Don't Keep pattern that I designed myself. This was a customer asked me to make this pattern for her, stitch it for her. So I designed the pattern, I drew it out by hand with a pencil on graph paper and stitched it for her. She was really happy with it. I went ahead and got requests for 2 more, and as I was working on these, the second and third one, they're fairly quick to stitch, but I didn't want to always be stitching them over and over and over again. My husband suggested we invest in some pattern drafting software, cross-stitching software, to make the pattern and sell the pattern instead of the finished product. So that was actually the first time that I just started selling patterns in my Etsy shop. And it kind of, you know, the rest is history, so they say. Patterns are now mainly what I sell, and this is still my #1 selling pattern. So I have stitched 3 of these, and many of you have stitched more. I think I've sold maybe 40 of these. I'll put a number on the screen if 40 is wrong. It's either 30 or 40, somewhere in that range. So a lot of people are stitching this one, which was fun. It's a cute colors, cute stitch. This is another one that was customer commissioned for me to do. So I designed this pattern and stitched it for a customer. And then when I was done, I sold the pattern, and this is also one of my top selling designs in my Etsy shop. It was really, it's large, but it didn't take that long to stitch since a lot of it is text and back stitching. And here's the last cross stitch that I have at home. This is my last birth sampler for my little girl. This is a sampler that I found online it's called the Sophie birth sampler by Busilla. And I saw this when I was pregnant with my first and thought, if I have a girl, I want to do that one. And then we ended up having a boy, so I went in search of a Snoopy one. Second baby came around, boy again. Third baby, found out it was a girl. I looked for it, and I found it. It was still available. I was so excited. So this I had in my mind to do for a girl sampler for a long time. And I decorated her nursery to kind of match it with bright colored butterflies and flowers. So here is my little girl's birth sampler. Super cute. A little bit more work maybe than I might normally have chosen for a third child, but it actually didn't take that long. Some of the stitching was pretty monotonous on the borders, so it was pretty simple. Really cute, really happy with how that turned out. Found a 12 by 12 frame and away we go. I made this Superman for my husband's best friend. I was making stuff for everybody else, and he thought that his friend would appreciate a Superman cross stitch. He really likes Superman, and we looked together online to find a good pattern. A lot of the patterns we found were very simple, like just an S, or they were cartoony, and we didn't really like the look of those. We came across this one, and it was full coverage, which my husband was hesitant to let me undertake because he figured it would just take too long. And it did. It took several years off and on to finish this, but it turned out really cute. I did it half stitches so that it would go a little bit faster. I did this on 32 count linen, 1/1 half stitch. The coverage in the black is not good, but it's okay. And I actually restitched the top corner a little bit to I started at 1/1 half stitch, wasn't too sure about it, did 1/1 full cross, really didn't want to have to take that long, because I knew half stitch was so much faster, and the full crosses just seemed to be taking forever. So I ripped those back out. 2/2 or 2/1 half stitch was too thick. I didn't want to do over 2 threads of the fabric because that would make the entire project too big. I wanted it to stay small. So I went ahead and just stuck with the 1/1 on 32 count, even though it's kind of patchy in the black. But most of the black is the night sky, so really it doesn't look that bad because it could be stars. And overall, I think it turned out well. If you stand back, it looks fine. So, and this was the first and only thing I've ever had professionally framed because my husband was willing to get it done right since it had taken me so long and it was going to his friend to give away, So this was professionally framed at Michael's. I really like how it turned out with a silver frame and a blue matte. He wanted this brushed silver because it's for the Man of Steel, and that frame looked kind of like steel to him, so that's fun. This is a commissioned stocking that I made for a customer. She had 2 or 3 different patterns that she wanted me to put together into one and stitch together. She had made some stockings previously, but her eyesight wasn't well enough to make this one for her grandson. So she had a couple patterns that she wanted me to combine. So I had to get creative in my cross-stitch software and figure out how to combine the patterns to make them work together, and then stitch this for her. And this pattern combined with the next one took me almost a whole year of stitching on other people's projects, which was fine. They were fun projects, but it made me really, really, really antsy to get back to some of my personal things because I spent almost an entire year working on other things for customers. So this project and then this next one that I made, and I fuzzed out the words because it was a personal poem that my customer had written for his wife, and it's personal, so he didn't want the poem itself shared, but I could show you the edging that I did. I kind of figured out this frame and stitched that for him. That took a little while to... This one didn't take as long to stitch because a lot of it is just back stitching. The flowers are cross stitch. The stocking took the longest, but this one was a good amount of time as well. This is stitched on linen. So both of those were Etsy commissioned, but they're not currently in my shop because they are not resellable. So that's all of the cross-stitch pieces that I have finished thus far. not counting the National Park sampler that I showed in my last update video. That's another finish. Still not FFO'd, haven't found a frame yet. I might get a custom mat and buy a ready-made frame. We'll see how that goes. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you again at the beginning of April for a March update. So, see you then. Happy stitching!